selective outrage, pointing to their silence when Charlotte Osei and her deputies faced removal from the Electoral Commission, contrasting sharply with their vocal stance on Chief Justice Tokonu's removal. He lambasted the bar as, quote, self-serving, unquote, and alleged it's amplifying position voices rather than maintaining professional neutrality.
When in 2015, an Article 146 petition was received by the Chief Justice in relation to the former chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Madame Loretta Lamte, the bar failed to speak out about process. Immediately upon assuming office in 2017, an Article 146 petition was filed for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and her deputies from office. The bar saw no basis to speak out about compliance with due process. But in recent times, the bar found its voice when petitions based upon the same constitutionally defined procedures were brought in respect of the removal from office of the former Chief Justice, Mrs. Gertrude Araba Tokono. Ladies and gentlemen, the honest question we have to ask ourselves is, what changed? The three petitions aforementioned touch and concern office holders of three constitutional bodies critical to the sustenance of our democracy. The independence of the three institutions has been guaranteed by the Constitution. The three occupants were all women of significant repute and members of our noble profession. The three committees established pursuant to Article 146 complied with the constitutional procedure to the letter. And yet, the bar found its voice only in relation to the third petition. Coincidentally, the voice of the bar amplified the voice of the opposition. The lawyer in politics must be a voice of reason, moderation, and constitutionalism. The bar must speak out not to please governments or opposition parties, but to defend the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and the rights of the ordinary citizen. The Ghana Bar Association is not merely a professional body. It is a moral compass of the legal fraternity and a key pillar in the construction of our constitutional democracy. As Lord Denning once wrote, and I quote, "Justice must be rooted in confidence, and confidence is destroyed when right-minded people go away thinking that the judge was biased." The same applies to the bar. Our authority as a profession depends on public confidence that we stand above the fray of narrow partisanship. Let us therefore be the conscience of the Republic, fearless when governments overreach, impartial when opposition agitates, and always faithful to the sovereignty of the people under the Constitution. And talking of sovereignty, we should desist from the temptation of inviting foreign interference in our internal constitutional processes. As a professional body, there is absolutely nothing wrong with forming relationships with like-minded foreign associations. We must reclaim our role as guardians of democracy. The voices of lawyers must not fall silent when constitutionalism is under threat. However, and excuse my language, this self-serving ingratiation of the bar into the bureaucratic structures of the state flouts the principle of equality.
So that was the Attorney General there, Dr. Dominic Ayine, but the Bar Association will not take this lying down. President Effuagate pushed back strongly against the Attorney General's criticisms, emphasizing the association's concerns aren't about politics, but about procedural clarity. Effuagate has stressed that the lack of clear rules guiding the implementation of top judicial officers is a major worry, stating, quote, "This sketchy process potentially lent itself to unfairness. A precedent that must be corrected if indeed we are custodians of justice, unquote. Listen to it.
The Constitution of the Ghana Bar Association enjoins us to protect the independence of the judiciary. This is a duty the association does not take lightly, and from time immemorial, the bar has fiercely performed this duty. My learned friends, we are all aware that Article 146 of our 1992 Constitution has come under severe scrutiny in recent times. For the first time under the Fourth Republic, it's been evoked in respect of a Chief Justice. The position of the bar must be stated clearly in this regard. The bar recognizes the fact that the power of removal can be exercised under Article 146, but the bar's major concern relates to the process. In the absence of specific rules of procedure, the sketchy process potentially lends itself to arbitrariness and a lack of fairness. Hence, the bar's resolution on the matter, which was as follows. The Ghana Bar Association hereby also calls for the immediate enactment of clear and comprehensive regulations relating to matters under Article 146 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to ensure transparency, accountability, and fairness in all proceedings involving Superior Court justice, particularly in the context of the impeachment or removal of such officers. This resolution was passed and publicized by 30th April 2025. However, no rules were produced. It is commonly said that justice should not only be done, but manifestly be seen to have been done. The lack of an enactment for such rules in the case of the removal of the fourth highest person in the nation should be a matter of concern for all of us. These rules should have been known to all and sundry before the commencement of the process, as it greatly affects the standard to be met. It ends up being an unfortunate precedent which lacks fairness, a situation that calls for redress if indeed we are custodians of justice. We all deserve justice, from the well-endowed in society to the less endowed, from those who wield political power to those who don't, from those who have economic power and those who don't, from those who dispense justice to those who receive justice.
Well, this is Top Story, always brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies and also by Shield Pension Trust, into the future with you. Let me bring in Abraham Amaliba, who is former Director of Legal of the NDC, into this discussion. Abraham, I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining here. Now, the BAT says it has 4 rules governing the removal of the CJ, must be made known, but nothing like that happened. How wrong is the bar then when it says it had issues with the procedure because it lacked fairness?
Well, that is not true because I'm aware that some judges under Georgina Wood were removed using Article 146. At that time, the bar was there. The bar didn't say the procedure was wrong.
Were those judges the Chief Justice?
It doesn't matter. It's an Article 146 procedure. So Article 146 touches on Supreme Court judges, Chief Justice, and Superior Court judges. So at that time, we didn't hear the Bar Association. The Bar, I must say, has lost its relevance. The Bar was relevant during the revolution days when it spoke against the ills in our society. But with the advent of the 1992 Constitution and our current democratic dispensation, the bar has lost its focus. For me, the bar behaves as though it is an appendage and the legal wing of the MPP.
Well, but this call for rules and clarity in the rules are not only being made by the judge. We have top legal brains who also called for same. Even a former chief justice has also raised the same thing, that there was, the rules were not fair, and they are even calling for the enactment of clearer rules so that everyone can understand how the process must go. So how then is the bar an appendage of the opposition because they sort of made known the views of people who think that, well, this process is not clear enough?
They are not listening to me. They are only interested in asking questions.
I'm listening to
you. I am saying that if it were about rules, Justice Derry was removed by Article 146 procedure under Georgina Wood. We have Ajed Nassim. I can mention them. If it were about rules, I'm saying that the bar would have spoken about it then. It's not about rules. They are hiding behind rules. And in any case, which of the constitutional provisions, because the Article 146 is also a rule, which of them has been breached by the removal of the Chief Justice? I just want to know.
Just because they call for clarity, you label them as being an appendage of the MPP. And you think that's
just
fair?
Because they are calling for clarity now, at the time the MPP is not happy with the removal of the Chief Justice, when they could have called for that clarity when Article 146 was first evoked.
Okay, let's stay on with me. Let me bring in Xavier Kojo, who is PRO of the Ghana Bar Association, to have some responses. Xavier, I mean, the concern of Amaliba is that you only found your voice when it was about the Chief Justice, and they feel that this makes you an appendage of the MPP. What's your response?
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. Good evening to my good friend, Lawyer Amaliba. That can never be the position. I'm in where I speak. I sat in the auditorium today. I listened to the Attorney General very carefully. He gave two examples before the immediate past Chief Justice's case. He gave the example of the former Shrag boss, Madame Loretta Lamte. That happened under NDC. The bar didn't speak. Fast forward, in 2017, the former EC boss, Madame Charlotte Osei, was removed under the same article. The bar didn't speak. Where lies the favoritism? So if in the past it had been done to these two people and other people affected by the same provisions in Article 146, and a new one is happening, and the bar is saying that the way we proceeding, we should set regulations setting out how we should proceed. What is wrong? Does that make us partisan? I am surprised that good friend is now able to tell why we are saying this and not what we are saying.
His concern is, as you've said, if it happened in the past and you didn't find your voice, they are wondering why you're finding your voices now.
That is why I gave you the two scenarios. The two major parties were ruling the country then. This third one has happened, and we are saying that going forward as a society that evolves, let's put in place regulations to govern this process. Will it be applied to only one group and not the other? If that is what he thinks, then he should wait for the regulations to come in place for it to be done so. Because in the past events that the Attorney General himself referred to, in the Shrag case and the EC case, it was the same 146. That's what applied to both people and at both regimes.
Well, so your point is that even if it happened in the past and you're saying now, it doesn't make you an appendage of the MPP. Let me bring you.
Why not? Kojo, if you fail to do something yesterday, is there a bar that you can't do it tomorrow or today? If you see the need to do it, I don't think so. There's nothing constant in this world except change.
But then someone would also say there is no mistake or wrong then if the other party also says that, well, because you didn't speak when, or even though you say it happened under both conditions, but you didn't speak when it happened immediately or in the immediate past, and therefore when you say it now, then you are behaving as though you're mimicking the viewpoint of the other party. There's no wrong in that.
No, Kojo, I disagree with that. I listened to the Attorney General carefully. He said our position was coincidental to that of the opposition party. He used the word coincidental, and that connotes no intention. So let us not do politics with this. We are an evolving society. Do we want to be static? I don't think we want that.
Okay, do stay with me. Let me bring in, Nia Kojo too. He's a former Attorney General, so he's been at our office before. I'm grateful to you, sir, Venerable, for joining us here. Now, is the AG right to compare the two, the Chief Justice and the EC boss removal, in making his point?
Well, thanks for having me. But let me say that they are not the same. As the bar president rightly pointed out, the bar association over the years has been defending the bench. Our point, as at the time I was there, I've been very active member of the bar all the way until I became Attorney General. I was 3 times the National Secretary of the bar. I was telling somebody today, he said he had no idea. I said, well, we are getting on in years. We have always defended the bench because we don't want the bench to descend into the public arena when they are attacked. So you see, it's always the bench that the bar rather comes to the rescue. So here is a case involving a sitting Chief Justice. Obviously, the bar station will come to say a few things. Secondly, let me say that I was in a room where all the things happened. I tried to push CI 65, which are regulations made for purposes of commissions of inquiry, that this 146 committee could adopt the same, because it is more fair than even the High Court rules, in the sense that you would have a lawyer representing the committee, which would then call witnesses and lead them, and then allow the two parties to cross-examine. But what we were having in that room at the Do Lodge was nothing more than a case where you have, say, a petitioner and his lawyers telling their story, and a respondent and his lawyers cross-examining, which was more of an adversarial system and not a committee for fact-finding. I pushed this. They told me they would not accept it. Yet, they were prepared to say that they would adopt the High Court Civil Procedure rules and change them as and when the chairperson felt there is a need for them to depart from it, so that there are no rules. It's a fact, and the bar has said nothing wrong. I don't know whether Amaliba can show us any rules that have been made under 146 before, or any other lawyer can tell us. It is just not in existence. It is not there. And if the bar says that we need rules, I don't think the bar has erred in any way at all. In any case, there was everything wrong with this trial. How could a sitting a candidate say that when they come, they are coming to remove a Chief Justice? They cannot work with the Chief Justice. And all you need is somebody to file a petition. And once you get a petition, I've made a prima facie case, you set up a committee, and all you want is the recommendation to say the person should be. And it's removed. There's everything wrong with what happened. If they say they are okay with it, fine. But they are setting a tone where another party will come and say, well, you put in this person and we cannot also work with that person. Or you are telling us that because now you have your person, whatever it is that you like or you want in the judiciary is a matter of calling the person and telling the person that do this for us. Then where shall we have the independence of the judiciary?
But doesn't Amaliba and Co have a point when they say that the same rules were used on some judges of the court who were removed and nothing happened, and therefore we cannot question that the same provisions now if it's being used on the CJ?
Well, they can say so. Like the PRO told you, the fact that it was not said before doesn't mean that it cannot be said now.
But again, I mean, if you remember the Kwekubako versus the AG case in 2017, the Supreme Court called for rules. Why did we as a nation fail to enact clearer rules so that we can avert where we find ourselves now? You are in the law fraternity, if you can help us.
Well, you know that passing law is not for the Ghana Bar Association. It's for Parliament. And if it's a subsidiary legislation, it can emanate from the executive, and then it will go and lie in Parliament for about 21 working days, after which it can come into force. So those who should do it is not necessarily the Ghana Bar Association. The executive could have always initiated it.
Interesting. Abraham, so here you are. The point that I mean, they didn't speak about Teddy yesterday doesn't mean, and I'm sure you believe and you agree that if you didn't say anything yesterday when something was bad, it doesn't necessarily mean you can keep quiet today when the same thing is being done.
The sword must cut on both sides. The knife of butcher, you see how it is? It cuts on both sides. And because the institution we are talking about thrives on confidence, if you choose and pick, then people like us will speak the way we are speaking. I am not against one bit that there shouldn't be rules to govern Article 146. But for God's sake, I am saying that these people find their voices at a certain time. And they begin to reform. For instance, I was all out for the bar when the bar issued a statement and said that with the removal of the Chief Justice, can we all hold our guns and wait till the processes are rolled out? Only for 2 weeks. We are told the MPP lawyers in the bar, forced the bar to come up with another statement. And you think that people like us should keep quiet? I wasn't born like that.
Okay, Abraham, so let's look for solutions. What must happen so that we don't find ourselves in the situation we are now going forward?
Resolution without any question from any contest whatsoever. That must be placed on record.
Is that Savior?
Yeah, that's Savior. I'm saying that the allegation that MPP lawyers forced the bar to pass the resolution is never true. The resolution was passed at a gathering of Ghanaian lawyers who are all members of the Ghana Bar Association. In any case, advertisements were made for that conference. Some people decided not to attend. Whatever decision that was made was the decision of the bar. It was never a question from a group of lawyers called MPP lawyers. Never so.
All right, Xavier, I'm grateful to you. But I mean, you are a former Attorney General. What must happen now so that this situation we find ourselves in never repeats itself?
Well, it's unfortunate that we are having a situation where we are now classifying lawyers into NDC and MPP lawyers. And it is quite unfortunate, because there was a time that I remember some lawyers met somewhere and said they are holding NPP Bar Association, NPP Lawyers Bar Association, conference, where they invited the president who went and spoke and even asked them why they did not bring in names so he can appoint them in his next government. It is this kind of division which is going to lead us into a lot of, unnecessary public opprobrium. Otherwise, when we were in the bar, we spoke for everybody and we were not divided into NDC or any MPP lawyers.
So what do you expect must happen?
Well, the rules must be put in place. I was a very active member of the review, the Constitution Review Committee, and we have considered all these things and thought about making changes the way the law is now, because it is just a question of getting a willing MPP, NDC sympathizer to just file a petition. And then that's it. We are doing it. As we speak today, we are complaining about the 146. They are not listening, but they are going everywhere telling us that they are going to remove the 3 top echelon members of the EC. They have been telling everybody that they will remove them. Because if it can be used to remove the Chief Justice, a whole head of an arm of government, then it is so easy that it can be used to remove heads of independent bodies. And they are sure of that. That is why they keep threatening and telling everybody that is what they are going to do. At the end of the day, you tell us it is fair when you have told everybody this is what we intend to do. So unfortunately, but I hope so that, as I said, that the Constitutional Review Committee has been put in place, adequate provisions to deal with this kind of situation. I hope that it will pass to bring in maybe the Parliament when it comes to removal. And we should hear from Parliament. It shouldn't only be President acting in accordance with recommendations of a committee. If when the people are going to be appointed, we find time and take them through vetting in Parliament, then why is it that anybody can just remove them without Parliament having an input? So we have been considering all that. So I hope, I haven't seen the final draft, but I hope that those things are taken care of.
I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. Nia Ikwetu is a former Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana. Earlier, you had Xavier Kojo, he is PRO, Ghana Bar Association, and also Abraham Amaliba is former Director of Legal for the NDC. This has been Top Story brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energy, Shield Pension Trust, Into the Future. With you up next is Newsnight.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Newsnight. This bulletin is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and on over 30 affiliates across the country. Well, coming up tonight, Constitutional Review Committee receives calls for immediate review of Article 146 following removal of Justice Tokonu, as the committee says final recommendations may limit appointment powers of President. We have details as the committee races against time to present final report to President John Dramani Mahama by the end of the month. Also tonight, Galamsey crisis deepens as coalition against Galamsey demands immediate sacking of top officials, including MMDCs and district police officers in Galamsey areas over what they term as their failures to curb the menace.
The president, in operationalizing the KPIs he has given to all MCEs and DCEs in Galamsey endemic areas, should dismiss any MCE or DCE who has Galamsey still happening in their district or in municipality for incompetence.
Coming up tonight, government reveals more details on its decision to receive West Africans deported from the U.S. under a third country arrangement, assuring the public that no hardened criminals will be accepted, with all individuals properly vetted.
The Mahama administration will never compromise the safety and well-being of Ghanaians. This understanding with the U.S. has been thoroughly discussed by Cabinet and has also received the Attorney General's advice. By established convention, MOUs are not sent to Parliament for ratification.
And in business,
Prices of petroleum products projected to go up by some significant margin from tomorrow.
And in sports,
after breaking their 16-year jinx last Saturday, Kumasi Asante Kotoko have now set their sights on making a first return to the continent in 3 years.
and a bit later, I will bring you more details as the Foreign Affairs Minister insists only West African nationals will be received, with Ghana seeking no financial gain but acting on pan-African and humanitarian grounds.
Our decision is grounded purely on humanitarian principle and pan-African solidarity to offer temporary refuge where needed, to prevent further human suffering.
We've got the latest of these and many other stories after this. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi, don't go anywhere.
It's Telecel SME Month this September under the theme Connecting the Next Generation of Entrepreneurs. For our young emergent entrepreneurs, this month is loaded with major vibes tailored to your growth and ambitions. Sharpen your skills at the Telecel Business Runway and the AI Workshop, and connect with other change makers at our very first Telecel Red Mixer, an exclusive networking event. There's more. Unlock tailored products designed to match your unique business goals this Telecel SME Month. Your time is now to transform your genius into impact. Keep up with all the action by following Telecel on social media for updates, or visit our website www.telecel.com.gh/business.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
No. You look so relaxed and cheerful these days. What's your secret?
No secret, Kofi. I just sorted out my retirement with Shield Pension Trust. You should talk to them.
Retirement? There's more time before pension.
Share. The earlier you start, the better. And Shield Pension Trust makes this so easy for you. They've got amazing plans to choose from. I even signed up for the Shield Cedi Crow a Day personal pension scheme, which lets you save as little as 1 Ghana Cedi a day towards your retirement. Isn't that great?
1 Cedi a day.
Exactly. And the best part is, I sign up automatically on the Dachia Promoting Plan, which guarantees me medical insurance when I go on retirement.
Hey, you've convinced me. I need to sign up now.
Kofi is making a move to secure his future and health insurance when he goes on retirement. What about you? Go to Shield Pension Trust or call us now on 050-915-0253 and we'll guide you through securing your pension tomorrow. Shield Pension Trust, into the future with you.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valexlease.com or call 0244 644048. I repeat, or call 0244 644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valix Lease, affordable document management solutions.
A message from the Ministry of Education. It's time for the computerized school placement for senior high schools and technical vocational training schools. This process will run in September 2025. Remember, securing a school placement for your child is absolutely free. Please do not pay money to anyone, whether a ministry official or a third party, for this service. If you encounter a person asking for money, report them immediately to the Ghana Police Service or the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP. You can also reach out to the CSSPS Secretariat on this call number 0541 548 6223. You can also WhatsApp 0244 908 957. Your cooperation helps us ensure a fair process for every student.
Hello again. This is where we begin. And remember, you can be a part of the conversation by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. And Ghana's constitutional landscape is undergoing intense scrutiny, with the community reviewing the 1992 constitution flooded with calls to overhaul Article 146. Well, this pivotal provision governs the removal of Superior Court justices and regional tribunal chairmen, and it's come under fire, particularly following the high-profile removal of former Chief Justice Gertu Tokonu for stated misbehavior. Well, chairman of the review committee, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, highlights widespread criticism of Article 146's secrecy, arguing findings and outcomes should be publicly disclosed. While speaking to the media, the launch of an Open Society Foundation and the International Development Economics Associates report at the University of Ghana, well, chairman of the committee, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, says several arguments have been made to tighten this provision to make the removal process far reach for any president.
Everywhere we went, it was a very topical issue, and at the time of the public engagement, the process had not concluded. It concluded after our public engagements, but almost everybody and almost everywhere we went, it was an issue. And people are concerned, right? Because if you're going to have a situation where whenever there's party turnover in government, a new government comes and says, you know, these are independent office holders or bodies, but I can't work with this one, I can't work with that one. That precedent has to stop at some point. We know that it happened with the Electoral Commission in 2017. It cannot become the norm. So we don't want to normalize it. And clearly there are enough recommendations around 146. Some of them, you know, some people think it's because it's binary. It forces you into a remove, do not remove kind of situation. So maybe we should look at whether there are other options depending on the gravity or whatever it is. There are many different options that have come to us, and we are definitely, it's one of the issues that I think we will have to fix.
Are you tightening the determination bid about prima facie case, or you are going beyond?
I don't think it's a pure legal, it's just about the legal stuff. There are a number of issues at stake. So, for example, the appointment process has something also to do with the removal. If, for example, appointment is easy, it makes removal more attractive.
Exclusive to the president.
Well, yeah, if you remove it, you can't easily replace. You won't probably remove, right? So there's an interaction, for example, between the ease of appointment and how you are going to use the removal process. So we look at that, and then I think fundamentally the elephant in the room is there's a sense that the Chief Justice has too much administrative power that doesn't appear to be regulated. So it's that power that is making the politicians basically envy that office. It's like, this person can decide my fate in an election, depending on who he or she puts on the panel. They can do that. So some of that needs to be regulated in the end. You know, you really need to draw some boundaries around this power, how it's used, so that politicians don't think that, oh, once I capture the office of CJ, I have captured this kind of power. You know, so a number of moving parts, not just the removal. 146 interacts with so many other things. So we need to look at all of them holistically.
Well, Professor Kwesi Prempeh also says the final recommendations will also consider the age-old call for the limitation of the appointing powers of the president.
There's a sense that certain offices are state offices. Political appointments exist. You can have your minister, you can have your office of president people, but certain offices are supposed to be held by people with partisan detachment. And if you're going to have only the president having the say-so, it defeats the purpose.
Does that in extension going to take care of the numerous other appointments that the president?
Yes, I think
so you're limiting the president's appointment power.
Well, I'm not saying that we have arrived at that point yet, but I think the concept is that if the job is not a political appointment, it's not a political job, like a minister. The minister is the classic, then you don't choose them the same way you choose your minister. There must be some layer that other layer that filters your choice or that constrains your choice.
Be the alternative.
Oh, but there are many different ways of skinning the cat. I mean, there are many different ways you can constrain a person's choice. Remember that this choice we have given the president in 1969, it belonged to a president who was a non-executive president. And that president was supposed to do it with the Council of State. We have moved away from that model, but unfortunately we retained that same model without thinking that this time the president is executive and therefore a politician. So there are all kinds of histories also that we need to take into account and fix this.
But how soon is the committee finishing its work?
Well, we are done with all the public consultations. We are at the point where we are internally deliberating amongst ourselves as a committee. We put together all of the submissions, written and oral, that we got. Reviewing it, we have reviewed the CIC Report 1, which is our basic document. We have also reviewed the documents from the Constitution Review Consultative Committee that was set up by the former majority leader, Chairman Sabosu. So those reports are foundational documents. We put them all together. We actually, as I speak, we are supposed to be quietly in retreat somewhere, and I'll join them later in the day. I mean, basically spending the whole week beginning to put together recommendations and the like, because the deadline we negotiated basically takes us to the end of September, right? So by the end of September, we should have a report ready to deliver to the president. So that's where we are. We are deliberating, agreeing on recommendations on the key issues and that kind of stuff.
That right there is Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh. Let's go onto the telephone lines now and have a conversation on the back of this. And joining us on the phone is Professor of Law Kojo Appiagyei Tuya there. We earlier had H. Kwesi Prempeh. Thank you very much, Professor Appiagyei Tuya. You've heard Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, particularly on the Article 146, those recommendations. Are they recommendations you welcome?
I definitely welcome that, yes, because we've already made a strong position that that article is weak and is subject to abuse, and we have a practical case where it has been taken advantage of and exploited by the present government to remove the Chief Justice from office.
What about the indication that some recommendations will also look at limiting, for example, the president's appointing powers? Because the question then is, what are the options, especially when we're also concerned about how elections have also become very expensive?
Yes, I think that there is the president, even Professor Prempeh himself has described the president as the imperial president, because of the enormous power he wields in the Constitution, to the extent of appointing almost every chairperson of a board and commission and so on. So we have situations where, I think under a Akufo-Addo regime, it took almost a whole year before the appointments, the boards and so on were completed. I think it's a waste of time, and it also puts too much power in the hands of the president. My view is that I support the position that the president can appoint the ministers of state. These are purely political positions. Even if I were to stretch it out, I've said that even the ministers should not be appointed by the president, because most often these ministers are appointed not based on experience or expertise, but simply as a result of some particular role they may have played in the government or in the campaigning period and so on. But we can leave that to the politicians to deal with. But as for the boards and corporations, we need to be clear that we take those powers away from the president. Because at the end of the day, these positions, when they are appointed by the president, they become beholden to the president. And it allows the president to wield too much power, which at the end of the day dilutes the quality of our democracy.
Are there any other recommendations you wish captured by the Constitutional Review Committee?
Well, I mean, for me, on top of the list is the 146 position. And also, when we appear before the committee, we also looked at something like the regional tribunals, that they should not come into place at all. We don't need that. So they should go away. Yeah. There are certain issues that affect women's rights, which are not clearly stated, and which we think that it can be strengthened so that the rights of women can be better protected, especially when it comes to representation in Parliament, for example. Yeah, so we are looking forward that with the caliber and the experience of Professor Temple and his team, we'll come up with a solid recommendations that will improve the quality of our constitution and deal with some of these pitfalls.
Well, there's one thing recommending, and there's another it being accepted and implemented. Will you be surprised or otherwise if, for example, the Article 146, which is mostly dear to your heart, are not accepted at the end of the day, although they are recommended?
Well, I'm not sure we'll be serious, or the president will be seen to be serious about promoting democracy and even setting up the Constitution Review Committee in the first place, if he doesn't do something about Article 146. And I think that is something that will solely be taken care of.
Okay.
But we also made the point about whether the president has the laws will be made, the recommendations will be made, by the end of the day, whether the president will respect them or take them into account to amend the constitution as has been proposed by the committee. And I think that it all comes down to whether we want to improve the quality of our democracy. Because as things stand now, there is too much power in the hands of the president, and there's too much power that resides in the party in power. So there should be a way to balance power, so that even if we have the governments in power at the municipal level, at the district level, there will be such arrangements that the government or the president will not have the power to appoint DCEs and all those powers at the municipal level, district level, and so on. So I will recommend, for example, that elections should be held at the municipal level, district level. These are some of the recommendations that have also been canvassed. And I think that if they are respected, it will help sort of dilute the powers that the president has and the ruling party has, so that there will be some sort of devolution to some of the political parties, which will then ensure that there is some proportionality in the exercise of political power, and it will devolve powers to other parties as well.
Professor Appiah-Jaitia, thank you very much for your time this evening. Let's still stay on the Constitutional Review Committee, because the chairman of that particular committee, Professor Kwesi Prempeh, has taken on Parliament over the non-disclosure of salaries and ex gratia of members of Parliament, members of the executive, and other Article 71 office holders. We're speaking at the launch of an Open Society Foundation and the International Development Economics Associates report on democratic governance and economic justice at the University of Ghana. Professor Prempeh says the opaqueness that surrounds the Emolument Committee and the parliamentary approval process does not help with transparency and growth of Ghana's democracy.
We need an open parliament. That is supposed to be the People's Assembly, right? That is where policy making is finalized. And if you do not have a right to public participation in that forum, in those processes, what outcomes are you going to get? In fact, it's gotten so bad that sometimes they sack members of the public from the public gallery and do business. You know when that happens? When they are considering the Article 71 committee report, which is the report of the committee that fixes the emoluments of members of parliament and the president. they actually physically sack the voters who put them there. They exclude you from the forum, and they make that decision on your blind side. Most of us don't know how our ministers, members of parliament cast their votes because it's actually secret. They do it by voice vote often. Very rarely do you see a division, and when you see a division, it's not even, you don't know how your member of parliament voted. So this is the kind of democracy we're practicing. It is not, in my view, a democracy problem. It is a type of democracy problem. And we must, if we deny ourselves the agency to correct that, that would be a tragedy.
So you heard that the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh. Let's now bring in Osei Chairman Sabosu, who is a former majority leader. Grateful for your time this evening. You've been in Parliament for a number of years, and the curiosity a lot of people ask is why the determination of salaries and ex gratia of your colleagues and other Article 71 holders are made secret. Is this something that you think should change?
Well, thank you for having me. Let me say that I agree somewhat with the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee. I agree with his position that we should shed some light on the determination of the emoluments. I think it goes to the very grain of the construct of Article 71 of the Constitution. And I think, if I heard him rightly, his lamentation is on what Parliament does. But the very construct of Article 71 restricts the participation of Parliament in the determination to just a few areas. In fact, the concern of Parliament in the determination is in respect of the President, the Vice President, the Chairman and other members of the Council of State, Ministers of State, and Deputy Ministers. This is just what Parliament does. It has nothing to do with members of Parliament themselves. Indeed, the full gamut of Article 71 plus 1 is in respect of A, the Speaker and Deputy Speakers and members of Parliament, B, the Chief Justice and other justices of the Superior Court of Judicature, the Auditor General, the Chairman and Deputy Chairman of the Electoral Commission, the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and his deputies, and the District Assembly's Common Fund Administrator. The Chairman, Vice Chairman, and other members of the National Council for Higher Education, howsoever described, the Public Services Commission, the National Media Commission, the Land Commission, the National Commission for Civic Education, are all determined by the President. So the list approved by the President is about, how many? I think about 8 or so categories of officers. Parliament does so for just 2. The President, his vice, those ministers who assist the President and the other deputy, and the Chairman and other members of the Council of State. That is just a microcosm of the entire gamut of Article 71.
Mr. Chairman Sabosu, do you then agree that the process as we have it does not only smack of corruption but also poses a serious threat to our democratic process?
I don't know what is corrupt about that. But if we're talking about transparency, I agree with you. That's why I started by saying that I agree that we should shed greater light on the determination of emolument with regard to the officers covered under Article 71. I agree entirely with that. But I disagree if you say that it may relate to corruption. I don't see the hand of corruption in this.
I
and that is why.
I mean, when it comes to ex gratia, usually the public are very passionate about it. Calling office holders names and all that, and that is going to give people the impression that it smacks of corruption. That's why I made that preamble.
It has nothing to do with that. You see, first of all, people talk about ex gratia. I think I've spent some time dealing with this. What is given to members of parliament after the fulfillment of their contract is not ex gratia, it's gratuity. And I think that we should declare in our mind about the difference between gratuity and ex gratia. Now, the difficulty has always been that, for instance, this new administration has started under, if you talk about the executive, under President John Dramani Mahama. His vice president, the ministers and the deputy ministers, do you know their emoluments? They are not on any emoluments now because the committee that should be established by the president has not as of yet been established.
Mm-hmm.
And president would usually not do that immediately because of public sensitivities. People may think that once you come and you establish it, oh, this man is looking for what he can get. So you are sensitive. You are looking at satisfying the masses of workers in the country, those who are paid from the public emolument, public kitty, I should say, whose emolument are provided for by the public pay. So public servants, you are concerned with them.
Okay.
They want to satisfy them first. First, before you tap your budget, you have to do some consultations with them. So you must satisfy themselves before you come to establish the committee, which is why presidents usually don't do this at the very outset. But if you want greater transparency, and I think I'm all for it,
mm-hmm.
I would, and I have submitted my proposals to the Constitutional Review Committee, that there should be some permanence in this. So a committee is established, and I don't subscribe to the view that it should be ritualistic. Every president should establish a committee. That's not my understanding of Article 71. But that's how we have all behaved over these past 32 years or so. So a committee is established, and then they make a determination. We build into the recommendation some triggers so that we don't have at a term of every 4 years to establish a new committee. We build into the recommendation some triggers so that every year, whatever must be topped up to the emoluments of these public officers covered under Article 71 will be released. And a new president, before he assumes office, will know his emoluments.
Okay.
As of now, they don't know. Which is why when the committee comes to be established, and the committee says that, oh, the president ought to have been paid this from day one. And because he wasn't paid that amount, it's calculated, and the back pay then is given to him, and then people refer to it as ex gratia. But that is not ex gratia.
Okay.
It's gratuity.
Okay. Osei Chairman Sabosu, thank you very much. He's a former majority leader and also former MP for Swami constituency. It's now time for business, and George is in the studio with the latest. George, what do you have?
Well, Ken, coming up, prices of petroleum product projected to go up by some significant margin from tomorrow as oil marketing companies respond to the recent pressure on the Ghana cedi. And Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama reveals policy rate adjustments will be influenced by global trade developments and the expected tariffs adjustment. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Sinter's tanks and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
Ah, Ma, have you received the delivery?
See, the rider's bay. Send in the momo.
Okay, *17.
Pow. Don't you use a smartphone? Use the momo app, ne?
Huh? Abba app.
Hey, I want to say a millennium, say millennial. Inim. Oh, millennium for ya nyazi. Switch to the app. Oh, you're smart. And oh, you're secure.
Enter a world of possibilities with the Momo app. Pay your favorite merchant, pay utility bills, and borrow from our wide range of lending services. Move to the app side today. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Tema near Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
At Star Oil, we believe fuel is not just a commodity, it is a lifeline. Every cedi saved at the pump is a cedi that helps a mother send her child to school. A farmer transports food to the market, or a young entrepreneur deliver their first order. Our mission is to make fuel more accessible by offering consistently competitive prices, helping ease the financial burden on Ghanaian households. In a country where transportation costs can consume nearly a third of household income, this is not just business. It's a social responsibility. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
Are you clapping? Are you giving God the glory? Hallelujah! Every day you wake up shouting, my business is not moving. Customers are not coming. But look, my brother, my sister, who are you deceiving? Have you smiled today? Do you have the confidence to smile? Your face alone is chasing people away. Yeah! We all know that the problem is not a spiritual problem. The problem is a dental problem. She was saying, use Pepsodent charcoal toothpaste to remove yellow. Somebody shout amen.
Craft your smile with Pepsodent charcoal. It removes stains and whitens teeth. This advert is FDA approved.
The luckiest. Luck is everywhere for everyone. Yeah, the luckiest. Luck is everywhere for everyone. Yeah. Money we define every day and night. Mama, dada keep on hustling for the family. The luckiest. Last dance, everyone to hash. You can win some cash. You can be the luckiest with 1 cedi, luckiest with 5,000. The luckiest, the teacher got the market woman. You can be the luckiest. Oh, the luckiest. Luck is everywhere for everyone. You can be the luckiest. The luckiest. Luck is everywhere for everyone.
Cause I'm feeling like the ultimate. That we go win. If I win, you win.
You could be the luckiest.
Hey, do you know sir? And you stay soft concentrate fabric softener. I was such it move. Just send this say be here my tina wache. New yan it's na wache. No be a baby some was some demoni ni na say. Do you know I'm saying? For quiet yes in beer association Ontario. Use stay soft and new yan it's na wache. Nani boss to tap from cry. A fabric softener. And you near say sir. Choose to stay soft. No who's so say no. FDID a dreading crack to yatu.
Sasso, si come tonton preko. Sasso, mi si come tonton preko. Edwana drumming ya buseshe. Yeah, how can see any malaria? Minya me phone me sasso spray. Every mosquito start to run away. Come on, tonton preko. Sasso, mi se come tonton preko. Come tonton preko. Sasso, come tonton preko. Nani sham ne die demo stronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, prices of petroleum products are projected to go up by some significant margin from tomorrow. Now, this is based on the pricing outlook report released by the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies. There is more in this report.
The data showed petrol could be increased by almost 6% per litre. Diesel, on the other hand, could be up by as much as 4.32% per litre. The adjustment has been influenced by recent pressure on the Ghana cedi, forcing most of the oil marketing companies to pass on the cost to consumers and thus new price hikes at the pumps from tomorrow. The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies in the report actually revealed if it had not been the cedi's recent depreciation, then consumers would have actually witnessed some reduction in prices at the pumps this week. Thus, as because prices of crude oil and finished petroleum products have been declining on the world market since last month, a move that should have resulted in the prices going down at the pumps. Some of the oil marketing companies have argued we may have to brace ourselves for more hikes in the coming month if the cedi does not stabilize firmly against the US dollar.
That is a Business Desk report. Now, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama has stated that any policy rate review will be guided by the current development on the global market and the expected utility tariff adjustment. The caution by the governor is coming after the Bank of Ghana at its last meeting promised that it would move fast to cut the policy rate further if indicators like inflation rate declines. But speaking at the opening of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting today, the governor noted that a lot of things should be considered with respect to reviewing the policy rate.
Against this backdrop of easing inflation pressures, anchored expectations, and stronger buffers, the MPC in July, as you will recall, reduced the policy rate by 300 basis points to 25.0%, while reiterating our readiness to adjust as the disinflation process evolves and risks such as global trade disruptions or prospective utility tariff adjustments are assessed. Colleagues, our commitment remains firm, and these are to maintain price stability, to safeguard financial stability, and to create the conditions for inclusive and sustainable growth.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana governor has revealed that Ghana's trade surplus has increased further to hit record levels, ending August this year.
Colleagues, external buffers have strengthened, and for the first 8 months of the year, Ghana recorded a trade surplus of $6.2 billion, underpinned by robust gold exports and higher cocoa receipts. Our gross international reserves stood at $10.7 billion in August, covering about 4.5 months of imports. Despite seasonal pressures and a moderation in remittance inflows in recent weeks, the cedi remains among the strongest currencies globally year to date.
And that is the governor of the Bank of Ghana. Dr. Johnson is here. In a related development, economist Professor Patrick Osumin has maintained that Ghana's strong reserve position shows that the Bank of Ghana is in a better position to defend the local currency.
I mean, if you take from the beginning of the year, the city has still performed extremely strongly. If you look at where we started and where we are now, I think the concern people have is what has happened in the last three or 4 weeks, where we've seen the city losing some value. I think, to be honest, if the central bank wanted to support the city and keep it, it probably could have, because the reserve position is still extremely strong. Throughout the year, the export performance has been great, even though remittances have dived a little bit since the appreciation. But the reserve position is still strong. I think it just happens that there's an obvious concern from the IMF that the extent of intervention is too much. Otherwise, the BOG could have supported the city and then kept it, around the 11 to 10 range.
And that is economist Professor Patrick Osumin. Now, telecoms giant MTN has launched its Minsaka mobile money promotion to reward loyal customers and drive usage of its enhanced mobile app. Acting Chief Commercial Operations Officer Abdul Majiraouf says that this campaign reflects the company's commitment to customer loyalty and digital innovation.
We launched the promo to say thank you to our customers and also to reward the loyalty that we enjoyed with our customers for over 16 years. We introduced mobile money with Minsaka, and I'm sure all of you remember the Minsaka adverts. When you look at the mobile money app, we've enhanced the mobile money app. Today you have biometric login. So for those who have facials, we have facial recognition. So instead of entering your PIN, which often people forget, now you don't need the PIN. You just need your biometric login or your facial recognition, and you're able to log into the app seamlessly without any interruptions. The promos mechanics is we are rewarding people daily, we are rewarding people weekly, and we are rewarding monthly, and then there's a grand draw. So we are planning to change people's life. We want to see how the promo, and also we want to include our customers into the digital future. That's why we are launching this promo onto the app.
And that is the Chief Commercial Officer at MTN. That is Abdul Majid Rufai there. And still on MTN, after this promotion, basically, if you are holding shares of MTN, well, at the close of trading on the Ghana Stock Exchange today was up by 2 pesos and is now worth 3 Ghana cedis, 76 pesos. Gold was also up by 2 pesos to close at 2 Ghana cedis, 35 pesos. If you have invested on the Ghana Stock Exchange from the beginning of the year till now, you have made more than 50% in terms of returns to you as an investor. And Kenneth, I don't know whether you would like to consider investing on the stock market compared to other investment instruments. Currently, it is offering the best returns compared to treasury bills and other instruments on the market.
I actually downloaded an app that told me that I could buy some shares, but I really haven't.
Maybe you should talk to any of your brokers, for them
I'll
to
try.
place an order for maybe 100,000 Ghana cedis
You
worth
don't
of shares.
say. George. Okay, thank you, George, for bringing us the latest in business. Let's do some Galamsey stories tonight, because Ghana's environmental crisis is hitting a boiling point, with a coalition against Galamsey Ghana ramping up pressure on President Mahama to take drastic action by immediately dismissing metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives, police commanders and investigative bureau heads in areas where Galamsey is ravaging the landscape. According to the coalition, the continued destruction of forests, rivers and farmlands by Galamsey is proof enough that these officials have either failed in their duty or are quietly aiding the menace. Convener Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe argues officials can't feign ignorance amidst such destruction, implying either failure or complicity.
The president, in operationalizing the KPIs he has given to all MCEs and DCEs in Galamsey endemic areas, should dismiss any MCE or DCE who has Galamsey still happening in their district or in the municipality for incompetence. They should be investigated for complicity in these environmental crimes. The same should apply to the police and the National Investigative Bureau commanders in this district and municipalities. If they are still in there representing the president and Galamsey is still happening, and we've not heard them screaming out loud for support, then they are either incompetent or complicit or both. The establishment of NIMOS is a positive step, but the president must urgently provide it with adequate resources to address environmental destruction caused by mining, especially given the national profits from gold sales by the Gold Board. So we have two proposals for funding NIMOS. One, allocate a portion of Gold Board proceeds directly to NIMOS as a show of commitment and as for support for them to be able to do their work. And two, auction all confiscated excavators at 1/3 of their value. Use the funds to support joint enforcement of the Forestry Commission and local police.
So that there is the convener of the coalition against Galamsey, Kenneth Ashigbe there. Meanwhile, the deputy CEO of the Environmental Protection Agency, Michael Ayamba, has pushed back against calls for a state of emergency to tackle illegal mining, saying the idea is at odds with the crisis on the ground and risks dire human costs. According to Professor Ayamba, deploying armed forces into communities where illegal mining has deep social roots would not solve the problem but trigger violent clashes.
It's easier said than done that declare state of emergency, go there with guns and shoot it. 3 years ago, we would have said, okay, it's Chinese financing illegal mining, and then you had businessmen and politicians going in. Now what we are increasingly seeing is community involvement in illegal mining. Every day in my office, I get people coming to report to me, come to our community. Then the end game is, can you talk to them so that they also allow us to do some of the mining? So if we take in guns here, we are going to have a bloodbath. That is one thing I can tell you for sure. It's easy for you to sit somewhere and say, impose a state of emergency, send in the military and let them do the job. But I can tell you, everybody calling for the state of emergency.
They don't know what they are calling for.
They don't know what they are calling for because the cost of human life there is going to be enormous that we may not even, in the end, Galamsey, we may end up having a conflict growing out of it.
Well, meanwhile, the Minister for Government Communications, Felix Kwachiofosu, has also challenged individuals who say Galamsey has worsened under President Mahama to back their claims with evidence. Well, the minister said government has instituted several measures to mitigate the illegal mining menace.
Well, first of all, the assertion that it is worse would have to be backed by empirical proof. You see, improvement or the lack of it has to be empirical. You see, you have to have hard facts to back it. So could you, if on assumption of power, say in February, there were 9 forest reserves under the total control of armed bandits who were superintending Galamsey, and now we've reclaimed that. That is a clear improvement. You cannot say that it has not improved. Turbidity levels are extremely worrying. That is why the river guards have been deployed. That is why there's an effort to dechemicalize, to use some technology to reclaim, better improve the quality of the water. The excavator menace, you've raised concern about the excessive importation. That is something government has noticed. So you see that specific action has been put in place to check that. That is why today the excavators in military camps, ordinarily these excavators will find their way into forest reserves or riverbeds for the purposes of Galamsey. That is no longer the case as we speak.
Well, it's now time for sports, and Achu Tamaklo is here with the latest. Achu, what do you have for us?
Well, after breaking the 16-year jinx at the Brecum Golden City Park, where Kotoko beat Chelsea by 1-0 on Saturday, the club has now turned its focus to the CAF Confederation Cup. On Sunday, they take on Nigeria's Kwara United. Here is head coach Abdul Karim Zito.
Mind, we are going to Africa, so definitely we have uplift our training. Our energy level should be higher than those of the match we play here. So it's like everything we do, we look at Africa before anything else. So I think the boys should know what is in Africa. And when they go to Africa and they perform, it will be their own credit.
That was Abdul Karim Zito, head coach of Kumasi Asante Kotoko.
Thank you, Achu. Let's do some politics now, because the New Patriotic Party is standing firm on its decision to hold a street protest over the treatment of its Bunu regional chairman, Kwame Bafo Abronya DC. Abronya was initially denied bail twice by the Accra Circuit Court on misdemeanor charges, sparking outrage from the party. However, the court later granted him bail of 50,000 Ghana cedis with a surety. Well, the MPP Youth Wing is set to protest on the 23rd of September 2025 against perceived state-sponsored police harassment. Well, the MPP views Abronya's arrest and initial detention as politically motivated, accusing the NDC government of weaponizing state institution. Well, let's stay a while with the New Patriotic Party, because the party has constituted an ad hoc committee to oversee the conduct of aspiring presidential candidates, their campaign teams, and supporters ahead of the party's upcoming presidential primaries. According to a statement issued by the council, the newly formed ad hoc committee will be tasked with monitoring campaign activities to ensure compliance with agreed guidelines and code of conduct. And the team has been also tasked to review and receive petitions from aspirants concerning utterances, hate speech, insults, and abusive language directed at them. Well, the committee has also recommended appropriate measures and other sanctions, including initiating disciplinary action where necessary to preserve the dignity, unity, and image of the party. And they say that this mechanism is intended to provide a fair, structured, and transparent process to address concerns and ensure a decorous campaign atmosphere in line with values and traditions of the opposition MPP. And the membership of the committee as follows. We have Dr. Akwesi Abiase, who is the chairman. We have Dr. Alex Glover Nate, who is a member. We have Ato Hamilton, who is also a member. We have Kojo Aferi, a member as well. We also have Mark Opoku, who is the secretary of the party, and the statement concluded by saying that the Council of Elders is calling on all aspirants, their campaign teams, and supporters to cooperate fully with the committee in the discharge of its mandate. The party says it remains committed to conducting a peaceful, respectful, and dignified primary process that strengthens their unity and readiness for the national elections. So let's go into the telephone lines now and speak to the chairman of the National Council of Elders of the New Patriotic Party, Hackman Osu Ajiman. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Many are wondering, is this a way to gag your members from speaking their minds freely, or is it otherwise?
Well, I don't think gag is really the right expression, because in every society, there are rules and regulations. What you can say in this country too, there are rules. You can't do anything, whatever you want. And when you are asked to kind of conform to the rules, it's not a gagging operation. Nobody is gagging anybody. We are saying speak on, but speak in a way and manner that will not be detrimental to the organization to which you belong. Just as in Ghana, you can speak anything, but you just can't insult anybody, and then also give the whims and caprices of individuals. So I don't think, sir, I want to disagree with you. We are not gagging them at all. We are saying, be courteous in what you say. That would be to the benefit of the party, but not what insult your other. We belong to the same stables, even if we don't. You don't have to do that. When we were 17, some time back, nobody insulted anybody.
So what happens when people flout these new rules?
They are sliding as far as discipline and sort of trying to speak well in society is concerned.
Mr. Uswajiman, I was asking, what is going to happen if people flout these new regulations you want to put in place?
Sorry?
What is going to happen to individuals who flout these new regulations?
Well, if they do, they have issued a statement today with the team, those who know the mechanics of this, the new thing that young people are using, social media, whatever, even the rest, they monitor it, and if anybody is found, he will be sanctioned. Sanctioned, and the sanction we shall try blame and shame those who decide to disobey these rules. It's very simple. We have to, with the utmost of respect, quote and unquote, we have to speak in a civilized manner. They go about insulting everybody and sometimes insulting the party.
Okay. Mr. Hakman Uzuajima, thank you very much. He's the chairman of the National Council of Elders of the New Patriotic Party. And government has shed more light on its decision to receive West Africans deported from the United States under a third country deportation arrangement, assuring the public that no hardened criminals will be accepted, as all individuals will undergo strict vetting. Well, speaking at the Accountability Series, Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa emphasized that Ghana is not seeking financial benefit, but acting purely on pan-African and humanitarian grounds. According to him, the arrangement is only a memorandum of understanding and therefore does not require the parliamentary ratification.
Let me emphasize that under this understanding with the United States, Ghana must first independently vet the background of those the U.S. intends to deport, to first satisfy ourselves that they do not pose any threat to the security of our country and that they cannot harm our citizens. We have.
Well, that's it for Newsnight tonight. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi, have a good evening.